Hello and welcome back for game number 2, where FlyQuest has selected to once again play on the red side.
Cast the best of 5 yesterday, and that one was everybody on the same side for every single game. And FlyQuest, it feels like they said it came down to execution, not so much the draft, I would guess, or the map positioning. But it is kind of how the series was expected to go. FlyQuest early lead, and then 100 Thieves being able to kind of macro it out. So I think having counterpick and people favoring red side because there aren't these perma bans anymore, and you don't even have to ban a Kali in this series apparently, I think it's a favorable side to have.
And it's not like 100 Thieves showed anything out of the ordinary or even crazy in any sort of respect there. That was, 2 frontline tanks for themselves, Cody Sun in the back line, Ryu with a mid laner that can roam, has semi-global and Raya's Realm Warp as well, and they just played a very standard game for themselves going to that phase.
Yeah, the only thing that I think is kind of interesting is the Tristana that came out from Cody Sun, which potentially makes you think about the Kai'Sa pick, maybe picking up Tristana for yourself since Varus gets banned away. So that's one of the things that I think may be considered here for FlyQuest as a change-up in the draft.
Yep, the Varus being banned away, no surprise about that. It is Turtle's most played AD carry throughout the regular split. 5 games, 4 wins, pretty scary. But one thing I want to comment on, because we are seeing Kindred banned out first ban both games now by FlyQuest. Both of these junglers have played Kindred at least twice. It's 3 times for Santorin, 2 times for Anda. 0 wins. 0 wins between both these teams on Kindred, but they still respect the pick enough, they have to get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very snowbally pick. FlyQuest do know Anda and his playstyle very closely as well, so they definitely respect the possibility of one of those L's becoming a W, and they don't want it to be against them.
A W is just 2 L's put together.
Exactly.
Wow, you just blew my mind, actually. Wait a second. So the same bans here from both teams. We'll see if it's the Braum first pick again, which would make sense.
Yeah, I really do think that has been a very successful strategy against FlyQuest, and we'll see what JJ uses this time around.
I mean, when you look at JJ's picks, throughout the 20 games that they played throughout regular summer split plus tiebreakers, it's 6 games on TK and 5 on Braum. That's over half of your games on those 2 champions, so if you're denying those, that's so much.
And an idea that was brought up a bit earlier on the desk was the Shen support that a lot of people have been using, and that's something that with the taunt, also giving an option for a defensive dash, I think could be very useful, right? Because we had multiple times in the last game where JJ, far up positioning, doesn't want to use his flash because it's so valuable on Alistar, but in doing so, dies, they lose the team fight, and this sort of thing kind of snowballs.
Yeah, I believe there's only 3 champions that are considered support that have a free targeted dash in the game. Rakan, Shen, and then Pyke is the other one, where you don't have to have a target to actually do it, and you have the mobility necessary. So we'll see if he considers the Shen here, because I don't think it's actually that bad at all. It's actually quite good. And the Tristana, basically, it's exactly the same draft so far for both teams.
It is the same draft all the way through. They're just running it back. FlyQuest is saying, okay, so far, it wasn't the draft, it was the execution.
And right here, the Alistar was picked in this phase for FlyQuest. Now, the question is, do you actually pick Cassiopeia here for Keen to have a counter pick against Ryu? And maybe go for something like that in the draft, and that's the mix-up. But then you get Alistar banned against you, you potentially get Shen banned against you, and then you drop very far down in the support tree.
Nope, they go with the Alistar. Again, they want to put JJ on something that has the ability to initiate, also has the ability to survive, doesn't have the ability to get out if you're in trouble, but we'll see how that plays out for him.
All right, last time it was Trundle Graves as the bans here. Maybe Sejuani jumps up on that tree, maybe, I'm unsure. But maybe we'll just predict the whole draft here. Cassiopeia Gnar for 100 Thieves is next bans.
Yeah, I mean, very well could follow the same case, but I feel like FlyQuest should be under a bit more pressure. That game, they had some unexpected things occur, but some of the unexpected things were to their benefit, right? The dive on bottom side and them turning everything around. They're still going to be faced with this issue. Later in the game, they have a Nocturne for their jungle, and 100 Thieves, at least so far, are showing the same composition. They could have double tanks once again. Becomes difficult for Nocturne. As you said, Tristana has a Buster Shot as well as Rocket Jump to self-heal, and Rise can pop his own shield, and we saw last time Santorin was unable to put enough threat down.
Well, at least we've got a little bit of a change-up at the end of the draft here. It is the Azir banned away by 100 Thieves as opposed to the Gnar. So let's see how FlyQuest changes to deal with that. It looks like they are going to take the Cho'Gath here again if they decide to lock that one in.
Yeah.
4 out of 4 picks the same so far for FlyQuest.
This has been interesting here.
The run back.
Potentially Gnar for 100 Thieves is the change instead of having the Ornn, which makes them more 1-3-1 instead of 4-1. But I did think the Ornn was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, it was big. Lots of good ults.
Yeah. So if they pick the Ornn, all right, and
Is it Groundhog Day? Wait a second.
and then Sejuani.
Deja vu.
Yeah, pretty much. Insanity is happening right now, where they're like someday. Somebody's having a chuckle about this. It's
Just like, wait a second.
Let's review, right? Because there are a lot of things that could have gone very differently from the last game. Even if all the champions are the same, I'm gonna go over last game. In the top side, something fortunate happened for 100 Thieves, where there was a counter game from Santorin. He overchased on the Nocturne. They got first blood off of it. Then there was the dive on bottom side where 100 Thieves actually did not commit their teleport before Nocturne Ultimate went up, so they had a 4-man squad that then got collapsed on and counter ganked. We're gonna have the exact same champion, so now it's really just gonna be about those plays, and both of those plays, there were mistakes from the other team to bring it up, but again, it wasn't consistent throughout this whole game where a single team was just making a bunch of mistakes themselves, and that was obviously why 100 Thieves won or anything like that. So it's definitely going to have to be on FlyQuest to execute, because I think their composition is inherently more difficult to execute and to play to their win conditions with the squishier champions with more mobility.
Yeah, and it's got a weaker fallback pattern, especially for somebody like the jungler here for Nocturne. He got a lot of those early kills. He wasn't able to snowball, and even though he was quite far ahead, R-ing into a team and just getting yourself killed when they're trying to be this death ball is not the way you win the game. So Santorin's going to have to find more unique ways to affect the game. And I think the Baron with the Taliyah wall was one of the ones that they had to look at and say that was just something that maybe we pressured a little too hard and we should have just kept going with what we had.
Well, you can see they've got the faith in the strategy. They're saying this is something that we clearly had too many errors on. It will work against this composition. We can run it back and find this win. And just what the desk talked about with how both these teams seem to have so much success on the blue side, the fact that FlyQuest elected to stay on red, on top of the fact that they also elected to play the same draft, they are very convinced this strategy is a winner.
And a lot of the analysts were very convinced that they knew how this matchup was going to go. Turns out they were right, and both the teams are confident in those styles enough to re-pick the exact same things because they also feel the exact same way. Yes, that was our game. If you're a betting man, then you would go for 100 Thieves again because I think they have the easier execution as well as obviously winning that first game.
And now we're on to the Rift for game 1B, where it's exactly the same composition.
All right, game 1B, but it has just as much weight as game 1A. FlyQuest, remember we talked about this team and how they found so many of their wins throughout the regular split, how they were surprise wins. And they were in games where it looked like this was going to be close for another 15 or 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden the Nexus explodes because FlyQuest makes a call. Can they find a win like that in the playoffs?
Also interesting to see and examine if the lanes also push the same ways, right? Last time, bottom lane pushing early was a big point of power for 100 Thieves. They had to invade onto blue buff. They had full vision around the dragon. And this time, it is an infernal dragon, which could possibly, help out this damage building Nocturne and Taliyah style composition.
And something that they have to consider is that invade on the blue buff in game 1 mattered because there wasn't a TP for Flame and there was one for Someday. So you'd have to re-gank the top lane. I wonder if this actually becomes literally like almost the same type of game. First ganks we see top, it's the same strategy. That would be actually hilarious if it ended up being that way.
I love evolutions in jungler pathing from games that have a lot of other factors kept similar. That's one of the most difficult things about this game. There's so many factors that you're unable to control. So many things different from game to game. Yet this one is kind of close to a control group there with the other one, where we're going to have a very similar start here as well. Wild Turtle being able to get the early push on bottom side, actually, as the least for Anda allows him to stay on red side.
You ever try something different in the jungle and have it actually be worse than what you did the first time? You're like, let me try this route out. And it's like, oh, that one actually is much worse. I didn't end up on the right side of the map.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
And that's something that I'm watching the junglers for here in terms of route, because Santorin's going to go do a full red side clear, I believe, to his Raptors, which will get him level 3 right here, and then he'll go to a Scuttle Crab, and he'll actually be ahead of Anda in terms of tempo if they show up at the same place.
Yeah, Nocturne does clear a bit quicker. I should talk about something, too, that has emerged. A lot of jungle changes happen, you know, from season to season, even between seasons, and you have to keep up with all of the jungle notes. One thing that happened not super recently, but still a lot of people are adapting to, they changed the values of experience and gold from the individual camps, and your Krug camp is even more packed full of golden experience than it was before in comparison to the other camps. So that's why we're seeing a lot more of these jungle paths really focus around early killing your Krugs to get them to respawn earlier because they provide so much value. So we've seen that from both of these junglers actually, so they can get that earlier respawn and experience.
Yeah, I actually feel like the Krugs, because they're a little out of your way, they're equivalent to a Scuttle Crab in pretty much golden experience, because normally it's a 4-camp clear to get level 3. You can do a 3-camp clear and get level 3 with red Krugs and then Raptors, and then you show up at the Scuttle Crab at level 3, whereas most people show up level 2. So you usually go for that route if you feel like the other guy's gonna hard farm, or you feel like you don't want to run into that dude at Scuttle Crab because he's gonna be real mean looking and it's a bad jungle matchup.
And Nocturne is very mean looking in crab fights, especially with lethal tempo. That champion is, for lack of a better word, a nightmare to fight over those crabs. Bottom side is 2 versus 2, Aframu and Cody Sun. Doing all right for now. Gonna find the stun on the JJ on the back end of the fight.
And speaking of Nocturne, Santorin has done the same route that he did in last game. And that was what caused him to end up on the side of the map, where Anda also, you know, forced that gank on the top side, and we had that little interaction. So they are going to end up in a similar area. This time around, Anda has the benefit, you know, of his coaching staff and people watching the last game say, hey, Nocturne is doing hard clear, starting with that Krug side. And so he puts the word down to see him pass this time. There will probably be less fighting this time as they have more information this time around.
All right, well, as we don't see that play open up in the top side, we did get a sideline report. Ovly talked to Prawley about the draft.
Thanks, guys. Talked to Prawley about that deja vu draft, and he said that the team actually prepped for changes, but after seeing similar picks come out from FlyQuest, he decided that they were confident to run it back for round 2. He said that FlyQuest as a team is never easy, but that they're pretty unpredictable. But since their draft had a few more problems in that first game, he's confident that 100 Thieves is going to take them down. Back to you.
Bottom side, Aframu getting stunned up there. A little bit of a good trade coming out for FlyQuest, who, as we just heard, 100 Thieves are saying, all right, we beat them once with this, why not just do the same thing again?
Yeah, I definitely, you could tell that that was the mentality just from looking at the draft. Bottom side though, Turtle walks up and does get a possibility of a trade here. There's no ward for the Tri-Brush.
JJ's eating a lot of damage from Cody, who got off, what, 9, 10 auto attacks on him there?
Yeah, that was a lot, and Anda's going to be on the bottom side after taking his Krugs, and just cycling the jungle now. He's going to go back and do his Raptors, and it's just going across the map in the way that you had cleared it, but there's a Scuttle Crab on the bottom side here, and that's where both bottom laners want to get that pressure early to kind of protect their jungler and allow them to hit an earlier 6.
Early 6 could be very big, not just considering the normal impact of how good both those jungling ultimates are, but also because of the fact that if you can make a play, especially on that bottom half, you can grab the early Infernal, you can get your team going. Last time around, Cloud Drake, first Drake. Nobody cares too much about that. You kind of just sit it on a plate off to the side, let it get cold for a while maybe. It's not that important, but Infernal Drakes are delicious. And bottom side, JJ and Turtle decide to go forward towards Cody and Aframu, now backing themselves away. Cody will be below half HP now. Heal expended in that fight.
Yeah, the stakes have been raised a bit, right? Because we're coming up on the second blue buff spawn, and that is going to be the timing window that we had last game. Currently, though, no gank topside, so the teleports are matched. And with that bottom trade, it's forcing out the teleport here from Aframu. We'll see if this actually changes his health positioning.
And, right, oh, yeah, he's just trying to break the freeze, right? Yep. Aframu's trying to pull these guys off to the side, and he's being a real bro for his support, making sure he doesn't lose these minions and that he could potentially just have one caster minion is what he's going to end up with. Just one.
It's funny that we saw literally that exact same play last game too, but the minions got there quicker and Cody Sen also got there, so the freeze worked out for 100 Thieves. This time around, the headbutt is going to gain them minions into tower, so slight minion difference from last time is a major deviation here.
And we've still got a really close game, though. I mean, 100 gold separates the two squads as the second round of buffs are spawned. You can see Santorin grabbing his red, does have level 6 on the Nocturne.
Yeah.
Talia level 7 as well, means FlyQuest does have that playmaking potential.
Yeah, you can free up the Talia and potentially go after the Rise, or it's a group up, go bottom, because you should have pressure as this Talia because of the backs and the item difference right now, where it's just Rise on the tier. So he should have a little bit more wave clear available to him. Oh. It's if he wants to pressure, right? That's kind of the key element to look for there.
And again, Santorin on the Nocturne is still keeping up his power farm, whereas Anda looking for a possibility mid.
Goes after it. Goes out the ulti cleanse and flash used by Keen to escape the gank.
That was a very, very effective gank, getting both summoners down on Keen with no one from 100 Thieves getting the itchy trigger finger. You know, a couple of moments of hesitation after that cleanse. You could maybe think about flashing in to follow up with that Rune Prison, but they get both summoners for just the ultimate cooldown.
Yeah, that signals to me that Keen wanted to keep his HP high and was not comfortable with backing, and they want to make a play on the map because you used cleanse. You're going to reduce the amount of CC that comes out from the Rise E after EW combo after that. So this is exactly what they're going for, is keeping pressure on the map so that they can make plays off of that, because otherwise you just take the HP damage and you walk back and then you just take a recall instead of blowing the flash.
Ooh, bottom side. So often we're just seeing these guys trade a couple blows back and forth. We've seen the small trades consistently throughout this game, but not really enough to threaten anything huge out of either side. Cody-Sun did have to use that heal. It's about 75% off the cooldown now. You can see Anda giving over the blue buff to Ryu, so he's able to compete with some of that spammy wave clear that Keen will be firing into those minion waves. And top side, very similar stuff happening as to what you would normally expect. These guys will just be farming up the classic wet noodle fight between the tanks, just waiting for the chance to fight somebody they can actually have more of an impact upon. But for FlyQuest, remember, this is a team that doesn't get to go to the gauntlet if they lose in quarterfinals. This is a story that is unique to them among the teams that made it to playoffs because of the fact that they finished 8th place in spring. They don't have that to fall back on and say, oh, well, if we lose, we can prep for gauntlet, it's going to be fine. You must win here.
Exactly. All of their hard work this split, all of these improvements moving up the standings will be for naught if they can't, get that victory here. And Keen running through the river once again to look at bottom side.
Yeah, but if FlyQuest lose, that means Clutch Gaming is the ones who get in the gauntlet off of their championship points from spring. And right now, FlyQuest going for early pressure on that bottom side. They're going to get that Infernal Drake. Kind of exactly what they want. They had full dragon control this series so far.
JJ is just a nuisance with these headbutts. Just annoying people out of the game as FlyQuest does find that Infernal Drake. Second Drake's going to be Infernal as well, so even though FlyQuest did get the no contest Drake for number 1, number 2 could be a different story depending on what the game state looks like by that point. Right now, though, still just neck and neck.
And even though, that's great for FlyQuest, and they got this Infernal Drake, and that's, even more damage, at least, than the Cloud Drakes of last time. Remember, last time, they also had 3 kills on the Nocturne at this point because of the overdive, and they got the Drake afterwards. So if you're kind of doing your time trials here, last one was looking a bit better for them. Currently, though, just going to continue to farm it out. Royal Turtle is going with the same build again, so he's got plenty of flat attack damage to work with. Cody-Sun, though, using that attack speed very well to just annihilate the wave.
And you can see even the wards placed down by FlyQuest in the bottom side of the 100 Thieves jungle, just trying to keep track of Anda, make sure that if he's hanging around looking for a gank towards mid from that bottom side or towards the bottom lane itself, they'll be able to stay on top of that and be like, hey, everybody needs to fall back. Don't fall behind early against this team.
Yeah, and you just talked about the attack speed for Cody-Sun. He actually bought he bought double daggers on his first recall last game. This game he bought Zerker Greaves, extra dagger. So he's actually just going in attack speed very early on in this Tristana to just stack up the E quickly when he gets into these exchanges. And it's actually a very unique build for her.
Yeah, it's unique except to Reckless. That's the other place I was thinking. I've seen it. Here we go, though, mid lane.
Oh, there we go again. It's going to be the counterattack from FlyQuest. Can they find anything? Doesn't look like it just yet. Turtle off to the side in the 1v1 against Afromu as JJ couldn't follow up with CC combo to make the mid lane play happen.
I have a feeling this is going to be a very different look to the Nocturne this game. Did not get a lot of the early kills. First ultimate does not find anything in the mid lane either. So even though this game is fairly calm here early on. I think that it is even more 100 Thieves favored as they transition into their later stages of the game. And you can always see them grouping up once again. After move, calling Anda, they move as a tandem to get vision for themselves to make a play on mid.
Someday blows the Ornhorn, and here we go. It's Keen in some trouble as the first blood goes over to Afromu. 100 Thieves make that collapse work, but now Anda's going to be the sacrificial Boro Rider as Flame grabs the kill onto him, 1-for-1.
Yep, Flame's going to TP in, actually uses that, so now they don't have TP advantage though, and someday we'll have that. And I believe the Infernal Drake that will come up next is one that will be desynced in timer.
Yeah, that's really important because look at the minion wave as well. Not only did Flame use his teleport, but he's in mid lane, top side. There actually someday has the minions right in front of his turret. Looks by the mini map that he's clearing a lot of them out. So it might not be the case. He's just hard shoving it.
So he misses CS.
I was thinking that he was just going to keep it in front of his turret though, and he could try and make him miss CS that way. Here we go though, it's another look very similar again to last game. They had blown the summoners off of Talia, so Talia is the obvious target. But this time around, JJ's gonna make sure they get something for that first blood. They get the kill back onto Anda, and that one did go over to Flame as well on the Cho'Gath.
Oh, and this is actually a kind of a departure from what's been going on in the game. There's a lane swap here. JJ and Wild Turtle are now on the top side of the map, and they're just going to put Flame on the opposite side. And I think this is because they want to put pressure on the top side before this Infernal Drake comes out. Hold on, we'll see what happens, because they are going to fight for this. JJ's gone in.
Everybody's deciding to fight over the Rift Herald. Ryu's going to be blocked away from the fight, utilizing the Weaver's Wall. Remember, last time FlyQuest got this, they had to sacrifice someone to make it happen. Keen again going to be taken very low. Can they actually get him, though? Santorin with the flash up the wall. Paranoia going to be used to try to buy some time. JJ will drop. He's the only one so far. Seismic Shove keeps Ryu away.
That was perfect from Keen because Ryu had flash. He would have flashed after him and killed him straight up, and that would have been 2 for just picking up the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ryu probably should have been trying to spam flash as soon as he got out of the Realm Warp. Really good timing there from Keen, though, to make sure they don't lose another person. But again, as you said, Flowers, it cost them 1 last time. It cost them 1 this time. And again, pushing on the turret here. Let's see how much damage they can get with Tristana.
100 Thieves trying to use those explosive charges to burst this objective down. We'll see if they've got enough time to do it. A couple minions left standing. TP used to make sure they get that objective, and that is first turret of the game. Also going over to 100 Thieves.
So even though that is a pretty big resource, the top laner teleport, not only do they get a first turret bonus off of it, but they also cancel it afterwards, so it's a reduced cooldown.
All right, here's your Acer Predator replay of how the, not the Scuttle Crab, the Rift Herald fight went down.
It's a steroided Scuttle Crab. It's a big one. It's been going to the gym. Anyway, they are going to pick it up once again, and it was because 100 Thieves are so good at making you pay the maximum for what you try to take off the map. It happens in this spot in particular, around the Baron, around the Rift Herald. Like you guys said, deja vu, where they lose a single person to actually get the Rift Herald. They have to trade 1 for 1. They also lose mid pressure and are punished harder this time. But it's that area of the map that has been haunting FlyQuest because it happened to them at the Baron last time too.
Plus, a big part of the lure of a Rift Herald is getting a first turret bonus gold. And so 100 Thieves were able to take that off the map before FlyQuest can even use the Rift Herald to try and get that.
And this series, if it's going to keep going the way that it has, FlyQuest had complete Drake control. They already have 1 Infernal. This next Infernal is coming up here. The question is, do they want to fight this? Look at the item completions coming through. Nothing yet for Talia, who also went for a tier, but hold on.
There's going to be a whole big fight. Someday fires off the ult. He finds the knock up onto 2. JJ going to be tanking up there on the front line. CC goes in. He's still going to be eating an entire amount of damage as Anda and the rest of the Thieves take him down. 1 for 0, 100 Thieves means Infernal Drake's the prize.
Again, 100 Thieves, they just want to group up as 5. We talked about their team composition. They just Ornhorn right through the middle. Someday gets the slow. They use their big ultimates, their crowd control on the Alistar with ultimate pop just because they know they win front to back anyway, and they just burn down the front target no matter how tanky through the level 1 Alistar ultimate. They take the kill, they take the objective once again, and it is looking very scary for FlyQuest, especially questioning the thought of them trying to run back the exact same issue.
And that's why it's a big head scratcher. And even Prawley, after the Opley interview that we saw, had been saying their draft had way more issues with it. So he was happy to actually run exactly the same thing into it because FlyQuest are the ones who pretty much threw down the cards and said, yeah, we're going to do the same thing. 100 Thieves just decided to match because they feel like you said, they win those front to back. And I think the Nocturne is the one that stands out to me, as he doesn't really contribute too much to these team fights, because diving a backliner is so risky against this competition with 3 tanks, and then you have somebody who's going to be semi-tanky with the Rise. And then there's also the issue of how are you even going to set that up? Because this Nocturne is best shadowing a split pusher is usually what you want to see him in a competition, almost like a Kha'Zix, but you don't have a split pusher in this team.
And that's why in Champion Select I was talking about, I 100% see why 100 Thieves were happy to throw their changes out the door and say, yeah, sure, we'll just run back the same thing, because the FlyQuest competition is so much more difficult to pull off. There's so much more you need to do with this setup to actually find the victory and get change from last game.
And let's not forget the fact that game number 3 means 100 Thieves get side selection again. So if this game goes fantastic for them as well, they'll say, all right, give us blue again. Sure, no problem. And then even if you've got different champions, you've still got them in an area where they're comfortable.
Yeah, and oh, there goes another ultimate.
Now Santorin in the fight. Keen's going to be taken low, though. Mid laner already down. FlyQuest has no way to continue this fight. We'll see if they lose their top laner now as well. Flame trying to get away. Santorin's ulti with that Nocturne was not able to stop this aggro from 100 Thieves, and his ult misses on the very back end of it. But 100 Thieves are still taking control.
Last game we saw Santorin get those 3 early kills. This game has been 100 Thieves picking on Keen. They put him behind in CS. They've killed him twice. They blew his cleanse and flash multiple times to try and exploit him. And I looked at their item difference. There's a completed Seraph's Embrace for Ryu. There's now a completed Archangel staff for Keen, but it's only stacked 150 out of 750.
Oof.
And Keen has had a fairly rough split, especially towards the second half of this split. For FlyQuest, there's another look at those troubles, though. Targeted once again. They've got plenty of CC. Once again, the Ornn here from Someday moves up, long range, he's able to land it. And Flame has to use his flash as well on Shogat to get out of there, even with the flashes there used from Anda to try and chase.
And now 100 Thieves will find themselves yet another turret. That is the 3rd and final link in that outer turret chain. Once again knocked down for this team. JJ's there we go. Trying to grab that interrupt onto Anda, make sure he doesn't get back to base in time, and with the rest of the team swooping in, FlyQuest finds a pick.
And they do display the strengths of some of these champions that they have picked, right? We keep mentioning Nocturne and Kai'Sa and Taliyah can all, from a long distance, jump on anyone out of position. So they do that there, but at this point, it is just one kill. It is just kind of a drop in the bucket. They don't get a huge amount of map pressure off of it. They can't push for an objective. They can't get, tower gold going for themselves, or, a wave ahead of times. So it is good, and is a positive move there for FlyQuest, but they still need to feel the pressure.
They need to get more off of it, and what they've gotten so far is top side control with the Baron coming online. JJ's gonna go.
There we go. He's in some trouble. Paranoia comes through. He tries to get himself away, and he does do it. Tristana is so damn hard to kill.
He got so far away, we couldn't even catch up with the camera.
But now Aframu's coming in with the Glacial Fissure to make sure they've got the counterattack, and Ryu's got the kill on a Wild Turtle. It couldn't be going better for 100 Thieves.
That feels so bad for FlyQuest, too. Just when they started to make their comeback, they got one pick, looking to use the Nocturne Ultimate for the second pick, but just barely. Cody's son, with the evasive maneuvers here on Tristana, gets off the entire screen, and now they're on to Baron.
100 Thieves make the call for the objective. Remember, Flame does have Feast on the Cho'Gath. You've really got to be careful about this one if you're 100 Thieves. They're continuing to take the Baron low. 5k HP, down now to about 4. Now they're going to go for the fight. They use the ultimate. Ryu's able to find the CC onto Keen. Santorin tries to get himself away over the wall, but they know that if he can kill him and Flame, then it's going to be free. Flame in some trouble, trying to get himself away from this one. Cho'Gath not really mobile enough to escape the collapse. He tries to go for the Feast with his dying breath, but it will not work. And 100 Thieves take the fight.
Again, 100% of that time, 100 Thieves are looking for the pick. They are not looking to burn this Baron down, go 50-50s with a Nocturne Cho'Gath on the enemy team. So it's very telegraphed that they're just starting this to try and find a pick. And then look at this pick and how he, well, not going to be that replay.
Well, look at this pick. So
here's another pick.
Headbutt Pulverize, ultimate there from Santorin. They get the damage, the 242, the flash, the jump, the heal to get out, and the rocket, or the buster shot to help him. And right there, nobody's there to really counter in front of him.
And you talked, Kobe, about how this game, the Nocturne's a little bit further behind than he was last time around. That could have been the difference there between killing Cody or not, and that does not feel good.
Definitely does not. The rocket jump buster shot into Flash from Cody Sun keeps him alive and keeps 100 Thieves in a very comfortable position here in game number 2. If they finish this game out, they go to game point already
Triple
in this
match
best of
point.
5.
Triple match point, demanding the answer from FlyQuest, but they do have to finish this one strong. Getting that second Infernal is a good way to start. 22 minutes into the game, you can see FlyQuest trying to control the area around the Baron pit. They realize they can't fight for the Infernal, so they take the opportunity, put down some vision, just try to prep up for this, as they're now trying to collapse onto Wild Turtle using the ulti from Ryu. TP coming in, trying to make sure they're not able to do this the way they want to. Counterattack comes through from FlyQuest. Stasis for Someday, keeping himself alive. Afromu also tanking things up with the Glacial Fissure. Someday's very, very low, not going to be brought down just yet, does walk away.
Pretty good collapse there from FlyQuest, I have to say, with all of those ultimates once again. I think the 100 Thieves probably should have called off that chase a little earlier, but they still got Someday out, and they don't lose anyone in the process. Here is a look at that pick I was talking about. Ryu just walks around the corner
Oh,
here.
there's a pick. And now we got another pick. Ryu just walks up to the Alistar and goes on a rampage.
4-0-7 on the rise for Ryu. The Realm Warps really helping out as far as their map movements go, and he has definitely been performing for the team in this series.
Yeah, 7 out of those 8 kills. He's been involved in the highest KP on his team. They have been playing around him. They have been punishing Keen, and they have been locking down the map. And Keen and JJ have just been kind of flailing in this game, trying to find some kind of foothold. And right there, it's back-to-back picks on those 2 members there from 100 Thieves.
Whenever we think about Ryu, we think about him playing these champions that are able to roam around, that can find these plays, find these opportunities. The man's got 8 solo kills so far the split. He's managed to put plenty of people in a spot they don't want to be in. And once again in this series, he's stepping up and proving that if you give him those kinds of picks, he's going to make it happen.
And if you remember back to the tiebreaker game that these 2 teams played at the end of the season, just before this, as our kind of preview, it was Ryu on the Zoe, and Keen actually gave him a couple of early kills with his Fizz that allowed him to carry the weight for 100 Thieves through the mid game until they can have that teamfight phase, have that comfortable execution of the meta in the end game.
And that Fizz is supposed to be like a hard counter to the Zoe, which is supposed to just destroy her in the mid lane, and with the Shark every single time. And he wasn't able to perform on it up against Ryu, who avoided it and then got picks later, like you said. But Keen also having counter pick in 2 games here, even having the opportunity to take a Cassiopeia earlier if they wanted to, but it's just something where they're trying to just make the mid lane as neutral as possible and go elsewhere with FlyQuest. But 100 Thieves kept Keen mid, kept killing him mid, pretty much kept him in the mid in the fountain the whole game.
Now 100 Thieves sit themselves at a 4,000 gold lead, 25 minutes into the game, feeling so comfortable in this situation that, as we've already said, they won once today. Winning it again would just be making one hell of a statement against FlyQuest. Please stop picking these champions against us. You'll have to try something new.
They're going to try to pick him.
Someday, we'll try to defend this bottom lane turret here. Santorin's hanging around in the brush.
Yeah, if he goes for this, though, that's going to be the Baron going over to 100 Thieves if they can't kill Someday. So Santorin was just hanging around, giving some protection, and shadowing, almost like you would a split pusher, right, like we talked earlier. And that's the Nocturne's strength, making sure that you can 2v1 somebody without TPs interfering.
And that's important for FlyQuest to keep focused on the strengths of the champions that they do have. Yes, they're in this game with a deficit, and it's a difficult situation, but you still have to keep setting up those types of side lane plays for the possibility of them getting that back and then starting to execute the game plan.
You could see a lot of assist me pings coming out there from 100 Thieves towards the mid lane, thinking, all right, can we go for FlyQuest here? But knowing their bottom laner, or knowing their bottom lane, excuse me, had their top laner down there, they don't want to go in without that big Ornn ulti to start things off, because in game number 1, Someday started so many good fights with those ults. In game number 2, he's doing the same thing. You can see right now on your screen, you can tweet your questions for Freak, Ole, and Azael to answer during any LCS tonight using hashtag NALCS at LOL Esports. Let us know what you're thinking about the series. Let us know what you guys want them to answer, and hopefully they'll be able to answer some of those for y'all as we now see 100 Thieves continue pressuring into the FlyQuest side of the map.
I went back and checked, and Keen, he finally got his Seraph's Embrace completely upgraded. It took him 9 more minutes to complete that item and stack it up than Ryu, because he bought the tier a little bit later. But it wasn't 9 minutes later when he bought the tier. It just took a long time for him to get that. But he's gonna try to contribute here. Aphromoo chunked out and jumped on.
Afromoo's very low, likely gonna burn down to the Ignite on that one immediately, but it will be a trade kill coming in onto JJ. Both supports out of the picture as 100 Thieves are in the enemy jungle. Someday still ready to go here. Did use the Ornn ultimate already.
Yeah.
Everybody else on Thieves has those ultis up and prepared to go. Someday tries to go in onto Santorin, but will not find it.
Yeah, you have to watch for that Ornn ultimate being down. It does have a fairly low cooldown, and the fact that he's level 15 and has rank 2 and a lot of CDR in his build is going to make it so it'll be up quickly. But it is their primary engage tool here from 100 Thieves. It's the way that they're going to catch people aside from the Sejuani ultimate. This is the one that really does a lot of the team fighting for them.
And that is important that they have multiple long-range stunts, because we've seen them burn through a set of summoners without using any of their own first, then just wait for your cooldown of those two abilities and have those back up, continually punishing specifically Keen that way over and over. So having these multiple layers of engage has really worked out, and that's why Thieves were having to do the exact same thing this game.
Yeah, normally you take Cleanse and you take Flash and you're fine, but Flame gonna get collapsed on here by Ryu and Someday. These are the two solo laners on Flame right now. They're gonna probably try to counter with the Baron here if he can survive for long enough. Now, they're gonna try to go for broke. FlyQuest are on the opposite side of the map.
Flame's in some trouble, does get taken down. Someday has the TP to join this fight if he needs to. Looks like he's gonna channel that right now. 100 Thieves moving in, looking to stop this here and now. Paranoia used by Santorin to make sure FlyQuest can get themselves away. Weaver's Wall also comes out from Keen to block the 100 Thieves collapse.
Yeah, they remember last game where they had the Baron, but it was a huge cost. Now 100 Thieves actually just take it over. They're leashing the Baron, 7,000 HP on it, and still damaging.
And here comes Ryu, it'll be a 4v5.
Remember, Flame is not here. There's no Cho'Gath feast potential. 100 Thieves burning the Baron down to about 4K. Ryu's on the back into the pit. He will be zoning them away for now. 100 Thieves looking to turn and burn for the fight. Let's see what they can find. They're able to put a lot of burst onto Turtle. He is down. Making it 2 for 0. 100 Thieves right back into the pit they go.
Again, the clean execution from 100 Thieves. Everyone's on the same page that they want to turn and look for the pick, not burn through the Baron. So as soon as one member from FlyQuest steps close enough, they turn on him. Now Santorin, though, is in trouble as well.
Yeah, hung out for a long time. He can't go in. Luckily gets away with his life, but 100 Thieves are now poised to make a hell of a push.
Yeah. This is the area of the map where 100 Thieves have just been slamming FlyQuest. It does not matter if it is the Rift Herald or the Baron. They just keep outplaying them around this Baron pit. They bait the objective. There's the turn with both the Sejuani ultimate and the Ornn ultimate like we were talking about, Kobe. And that was so well done there, and they keep doing this. They bait the objective, they do it slowly, and because they have so many tanks, they don't care about the Baron damage because they can soak it up forever and wait for the fight and wait for FlyQuest to get a little bit curious about what the HP is, and then they turn.
And now, if you're FlyQuest, man, things have gone from bad to worse. 3 kills to 12, 2 turrets to 4. You're down, what is this, 7,000 gold now? It's very difficult to try to stand up against this team that has just found so much success this game, especially thanks to the man on your screen. Ryu now with a death cap on this rise puts out so much damage. FlyQuest's execution will need to be perfect and then some.
Yeah. What kind of wizard, what kind of prophet could have seen something like this coming, Captain Flowers?
One that has...
Turret down already.
One that has a replay of the previous game, Mr. Kobe. That kind of a wizard. A man with a recording program. As 100 Thieves will take down the bottom lane inhibitor turret, the inhibitor with it. Keen will ride the Weaver's wall into the top lane to clear out that wave. But now it's 100 Thieves saying, okay, the wall is down. We don't have to worry about that. We can continue pushing without that element being there to potentially punish us, block us off. They've got 5 men middle, pressuring towards inhibitor number 2.
And this is just a slow bleed out here that will happen unless the engage comes. There's the ultimate from Anda and Someday up. As soon as they get the turret, you have to expect that they might throw them, and that's why FlyQuest are just backing up, respecting it, and they're seeding everything. And this is potentially a triple inhib in the making.
I mean, you can concede 2 of those lanes, but at the same time, if you try to...
He didn't make it in.
That? Okay, they still decide to go after a fight. They're going on to Someday here, looking to burst him down. They do find him, but who are they going to lose in return? FlyQuest 5 versus 4. Flame on the front line, going to be soaking the damage up. JJ now the next target. Nice 3-man pull into silence. 100 Thieves are in for trouble. Ryu's going to be dominating. He finds the damage. This fight's all over the place. Flame's going to be taken low.
Keen still looking to muffle him up. A triple for Ryu. Is that going to be the Quadra? The shutdown over onto Cody. The shutdown over onto Keen. And 100 Thieves will ace the team and win the fight.
Baron buff will also allow them to win the game, Captain Flowers. This will be 2-0 100 Thieves. Game point, match point, and they are looking ahead.
That was just by the skin of their teeth. If there was something in the beginning of the game, those Infernal Drakes, if those go over to FlyQuest, that's the difference in the fight. But right there, 100 Thieves, they're going to close it out.
Anda is just going to play interference, keep JJ away from Ryu. The Nexus will fall. And 100 Thieves are one game away from knocking FlyQuest out of playoffs and out of Worlds.
And booking a trip to Oakland and being in the top 4, which for this organization, 100 Thieves, started this year. They've already been a finalist in the NALCS in their freshman split. If they make the top 4 and make it to the premier event, the 3rd, 4th place match, the 1st place match in Oakland, and they get to have that trip as their freshman year as an organization, that's going to get them a ton of fans. That is what you're looking for in the franchise era.
Yeah, I mean, people have been talking a lot about, teams' histories and building legacies and things like that. This is how you want to build a legacy. This is what you want your team to be known for.
This is the foundation.
Yeah, in the North American LCS.
I mean, when you can build a foundation like that in year number 1, it just gets everybody excited at the sheer prospect of what's going to happen in the years to come. But 100 Thieves still have one more game to win here. They are poised to sweep FlyQuest and to break down how it happened. Let's send it back to Darshan and the analysts.
Run it back. Run it back. Run it back. Thank you very much, gentlemen. 2-0 lead for 100 Thieves in the saltiest of runbacks. Exactly the same comps from game 1. And we're going to full stop here and have a lengthy discussion because we've got some words for FlyQuest.
If you win, go. You do the run back.
Yeah.
If you lose the first game, usually don't.
It also depends what happens in the game. Like, 100 Thieves had a bit of a tough time in the first game because they got 3-for-0'd on a bad dive. So they can say, if we pick the same comp and don't int the early game, we have a pretty good chance. And that's a perfect mindset for running it back on the side of the winning team.
You just really got to wonder what they're thinking, Like, Red side, again, they've got a different strategy. They've got something coming. I think Saint was even saying, like, we've got a number of strategies prepared. But then you see this game, and what other strategies are there, Because I saw the exact same comp, and I didn't see them using Nocturne in the side lane. I didn't see much. I saw it went to Baron, and then the team with Sejuani and Ornn just pressed their R buttons, and then they won.
Yeah.
So
just before we continue the criticisms of FlyQuest, you are actually on a team that has done this before, losing game 1 into game 2. Like, what is the mindset that makes this happen? Because when you see it from the outside, you think, why would they ever do this? But just one side of devil's advocate, why would you do this?
good call out, Jat. I think this was against SKT in the finals at MSI, and I think what we were thinking was, like, we're on some of our best skilled champions, like Poppy. I played Poppy like 80% of my games, and we're like, okay, well, we're just going to run it back because we just made some clear game-losing mistakes. We know how to play 1-3-1. We know this style. This is what we did the whole tournament. Let's do it again. But my criticism for FlyQuest is JJ is great on Braum and Tom. Yes. He had a terrible Alistar performance. Put him on something he's good on. Take the blue side. Take champions you're good at. I don't understand what they're trying to run back. Like, when we're running it back, we're playing our best champions. I don't think they're playing their best champions.
There was an adaptation in the bot lane. He took Minion Dematerializer this game, and, you know, you have this dive bot lane comp, and maybe the adaptation is take Minion Dematerializer for a little bit better push, and then the dives suddenly start working out.
Yeah!
I'm not convinced. Yeah, I'm not convinced either.
I don't think that's doing it for me.
It's so weird because they have all these champions that want to collapse on a side lane and no one who wants to be getting collapsed on. The Taliyah does not want to be in a side lane. The Kai'Sa does not want to be in a side lane. The Cho'Gath isn't a side lane, but you don't want to collapse for a Cho'Gath. And so you have all these guys, you're like, let's ult to a side lane. And then, like, who are you trying to snowball? And they try and do it with the Kai'Sa here, but it's just not enough damage. You see the Black Fever builds maybe not being the right option for Santorin, and then they get turned on. It's so difficult to do. If you have a mid pick that wants to be in a side lane, maybe a top pick that wants to be in a side lane, I can understand it more.
And the more this game continued, the cleaner 100 Thieves actually looked in a lot of their engages and ways they were baiting around Baron, almost as if they had just played the exact same composition on stage and won. So it's like they practiced winning in this exact same situation.
I also think, though, that yes, they clearly practice. I also think, though, one of the big things to key into is what you were talking about just a bit, or you mentioned just a bit ago, Darshan, the idea of ease of execution for 100 Thieves team comp. We see it right there. And engage onto an Alistar of all people. Hey, that's not actually the priority target we want to hit. Guess what? We still have a couple more R buttons we can throw at the carries of FlyQuest to ensure that the engage comes on to the right people. And I think you see that time and time again. 100 Thieves just very comfortable in almost any geographical environment here on Summoner's Rift, saying we'll find a way to engage and get to that backline.
And you definitely have to give some props to Ryu having a monstrous Ryze performance. Ryze, while a strong champion and decent at teamfighting, is usually not like the DPS AoE machine that you see, and yet he crushed this game in damage, as well as setting the team up for a lot of the plays in the mid game and the early game that
Look
got
at
them
that
their lead.
damage. I mean,
you don't see Ryzes do that.
Yeah, we were talking about, you know, like the mid lane matchup, like being like one of the quieter matchups in the series, but Ryu on Ryze, I think time and time again, he's proved he's a monster on that champion. FlyQuest, please, when you're going to game 3, think about banning this out or changing your strategy in the mid lane, because I think it'll be so much easier for Keen to have an impact when Ryu is not on that Ryze.
Now, unfortunately for FlyQuest, they don't get side choice here in game 3. So 100 Thieves, while still waiting on, well, there I just received it, they have elected to stay on blue side. I don't think there's any surprise there. But
Run it back to third.
No,
Yeah,
please,
right,
no,
right.
not a
But,
third run back.
You know, the question becomes for FlyQuest now, you know, how many options do you have available to you? Because if we just talk about trying to secure top champions in each role, it's hard to do that from red side.
Can I run back my analysis of game 2?
Right,
That's
exactly.
final, at the
So
end of
I
that
still
segment.
don't like the Nocturne pick.
Yep.
I still
Please,
don't
Sejuani.
like the take Sejuani and take Ryze.
Yeah.
Because it's up.
If they're going to take Braum,
Or you're also banning Braum to change their first pick. But like
Okay.
the fact that I think 100 Thieves would first pick Braum or Ryze. So the fact that you're giving them both by not taking it yourself is pretty disappointing.
Santorin on tank, Flame on a carry is also what we were talking about from the previous segment.
yeah. This is such a tough situation because we're sitting in a position where 100 Thieves is doing what they need to do to win.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, and so much of the discussion is around what FlyQuest is doing improperly in this series, and I don't want to take away from the fact that 100 Thieves is taking the necessary steps to maybe complete a 3-0 here and move themselves on to the semifinal. And so I realize a lot of our focus is on 100 Thieves, and I don't want to take, or rather on FlyQuest, and I don't want to take away from 100 Thieves, but I don't feel like 100 Thieves really needs to do much here aside from react
And
to
draft
whatever.
well. I think they've been having the better draft every single game. Just pick a better mid to late game team comp, because nothing is happening in these early games. Like if you're watching, like all these teams are just farming. There's no creative ganks going on. So just pick something that you can engage with and win later on. Like they're having the Braum versus Alistar, and you're not seeing JJ making those flanks on Alistar that you'll see from players like Mata or like really good Alistar players. So maybe put him something on the Shen, get Flame on a carry matchup so he can have more pressure. Switch things up a little bit.
I agree. I don't.
Mark agrees. Let it be known. It's a tough spot to be in, you know, to come out of a game, of a run-back game with the same result.
It's
But
a tilter.
It is.
It's a huge tilter. Like for them to come back in this series now, red side a third time in a row, when their win rate now on red side is below 25%. Not only are you going to be second guessing your choices in game 2, hopefully you're in the same situation for game 3.
I've gotta believe we see a wildly different draft come out of FlyQuest this time around, so that they can index into the idea that they have a different strategy and a different game plan altogether. It is match point for 100 Thieves. See if they can pull off the sweep in game 3.
Play on mid. Someday blows the horn, and here we go. It's Keen in some trouble as the first blood goes over to Afromoo. 100 Thieves make that collapse work, but now Anda's going to be the sacrificial Poro rider. Hold on, there's going to be a whole big fight. Someday fires off the ult. He finds the knock up onto 2. JJ going to be tanking up there on the front line. CC goes in. He's still going to be eating an entire amount of damage.
I'm part ulti. Saya mid. I can block for you. I'm coming. Can I connection after this?
100 Thieves looking to turn and burn for the fight. Let's see what they can find. They're able to put a lot of burst onto Turtle. He is down. JJ now the next target. Nice three-man pull into silence. 100 Thieves are in some trouble. Ryu's going to be dominating. He finds the damage. This fight's all over the place. Flame's going to be taken low. Keen's still looking him up. A triple for Ryu. Is that going to be the shutdown over onto Keen, and 100 Thieves will ace the team and win the fight.
Welcome to Level Up, presented by State Farm. Zoe's proven to be a mid-lane menace as of late, so we wanted to share some tips on countering the slippery mage. One of Zoe's weaknesses is her inability to escape skill shots after she uses portal jump. Use hard CC on her return portal to set up bursty ultimates, like Syndra's Unleashed Power or Yasuo's Last Breath. That way, the moment she steps up too far, it could be her last. Champions that disrupt Zoe's strengths are also effective. For example, Fizz, if hit by a Sleepy Trouble bubble, can hop on his trident to become untargetable, disrupting her most potent combo. And if that doesn't work, you can always ban her.
No, that's not nice.
The sub above difference is substantial. After all, the giant got its name for a reason. It ain't little. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.